Hi friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to another week's What's for Dinner. If you're new here, welcome. I'd love if you'd hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. I put out What's for Dinner videos every week, and this week I have 3 inspirational meals for you again, and I hope that you enjoy those. I have also filmed a grocery haul video for you guys, and I wanted to get out a couple of days ago, but unfortunately my boyfriend ended up having to go to the hospital for his asthma, and I found out he had like pneumonia. And I actually should have just took the video with me to edit there because I wasn't able to go in, and I had to sit nearby outside in the car for like 7 hours. It was quite an ordeal, but I do plan to have that out for you. It's just gonna take a couple extra days to edit that video, so it should be out Monday or Tuesday. So I hope you like that as well, and let's just get started. This first meal is asado chicken and sauteed zucchini. I'm starting off by making the marinade, so for that I'm going to start off with 1/4 cup of chicken stock, and I'm just using better than bouillon into some water here. And now you're going to add in 2 teaspoons of oregano, a tablespoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of cumin powder, as well as a teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes. Then I'm going to go ahead and add in a 1/4 cup of lemon juice and a 1/4 cup of olive oil. You're also going to add in some salt and pepper to taste, and then just go ahead and give that all a good stir. And I actually forgot to add in the minced garlic to this, so I did notice after putting my chicken in the bag with the marinade, so you'll see me go ahead and add in that in, and it was about 8 cloves of garlic minced. You can use less or more to your liking. I like a lot of garlic, and I'm using 3 large chicken breasts here. So yeah, I've just placed those in my Ziploc with the marinade and the garlic, and I'm going to go ahead and just make sure those are evenly coated. And then you're going to go ahead and marinate those in the refrigerator for 30 minutes on. So anywhere as long as you can or would like to, but for a minimum of 30 minutes. And that's what I was doing on this day because my brother was actually here with me, which is why I kept forgetting steps because I'm over here having a conversation. But yeah, once they were done marinating, I'm just going to go ahead and place those in a large skillet over medium-high heat with some olive oil. And I do regret not pounding these chicken breasts. Again, I'm having conversation with my brother and I'm forgetting steps along the way, and I don't normally leave my chicken breasts this large because they don't cook evenly. So of course it took me longer to cook them than I would have liked. I would definitely recommend just going ahead and either cutting these, filleting them down the middle, or pounding them down. If you fillet those or pound them down, it should be about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. And now I'm just going to go ahead and cut up 3 large zucchini into some bite-sized pieces. And meanwhile, I took that chicken and plated it and set it into my microwave just so it can keep the heat in while I cooked up these zucchinis. So for the zucchini, I'm using the same pan I cooked the chicken in, and I just placed them in there with a little extra olive oil. And now I'm going to season those just with some garlic, salt, and some pepper, as well as some red chili flakes. And then just go ahead and let that saute for about 2 to 3 minutes on medium heat. After those few minutes went by, I'm just adding in the remaining marinade from that chicken into the zucchini to give it some of that heat and flavor from the marinade. So you're just going to go ahead and stir that together and let it cook for another 3 to 4 minutes until your zucchini is tender. If you don't like a lot of heat, or if you just don't want hot chicken plus hot vegetables, just go ahead and not add that marinade to it. Just maybe add some other seasonings that you like. And now I'm just going to go ahead and cut up that chicken so I can plate it. So I'm just cutting it into some strips here. This meal was pretty good. It had lots of flavor, so it didn't disappoint on that end. I do love me some zucchini with anything. I just would have preferred my chicken to have been thinner. This next meal is an Italian sub with a red wine vinaigrette. I'm going to start off by making the dressing for this. So I'm going to combine a 1/4 cup of olive oil with 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 2 cloves of minced garlic, a 1/4 teaspoon salt, a pinch of black pepper, half a teaspoon Italian seasoning, a pinch of red pepper flakes, and maybe about a 1/4 teaspoon oregano and around an 1/8 teaspoon of dried mint, which you can totally leave out. I just have a sandwich shop near me that uses dried mint in their Italian sandwich, and it's one of my favorite things ever, so I just included that into my little vinaigrette here. And then just go ahead and give that all a good stir and taste it to see if you need any additional salt or pepper, and go ahead and add that if you do, and then just go ahead and set that aside. Now I'm just going to go ahead and start getting some of my vegetables that I want in the sandwich together. And I'm using my mandolin here and struggling because I cannot get the tomato to stay on the guard to save my life. So you'll see me struggling there, going back and forth, trying it out because I really don't want to cut myself, but I want to use this mandolin. So I'm just going really slowly, even though this is sped up and you're seeing it faster. And I'm just being very careful to do that. So with the cucumber now, it is much better. So the mandolin guard is holding that no problem. It's just the tomato I was having a problem with. So I just chopped up that cucumber, and now I'm doing the same thing with some red onion. And now I'm just gonna cut some iceberg lettuce, and I want this into some nice shredded lettuce, like some of the sandwich shops that I go to have it, and I really like it that way. I'm also picking out some of those thicker white pieces that I don't care for. To go to the side for this, I'm just getting some fries together. These are just frozen fries, and I'm going to air fry them, and I'll just show you the 2 kinds that I like here. I just had a little bit of those Red Robin ones left, so I'm combining them with those, but both of those fries are really good. I also decided I wanted some pepperoncinis, so I am just slicing these into some little rings that I can throw on the sandwiches as well. I really like pepperoncini with my Italian sandwiches, so it was a perfect addition. And now I'm just cutting up a bread. These are some breads we just had on hand at the time that I wanted to use up. So this is just I believe like a bolillo bread, which is like I think a Mexican style bread, but it worked really well for this. So yeah, now I'm just taking my bread and I'm gonna go ahead and baste on some of that vinaigrette onto the bread. And I'm doing this before putting any other condiments, because the other condiments will stop your oil from absorbing into the bread, which is what I want. It will just kind of fall off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then just place whatever condiments you like. I'm using mayonnaise and some stone ground mustard. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add some cheese. Of course, you can do these however you like. I wanted an Italian style. My boyfriend actually had like a turkey and ham style sandwich, so we each just did our own thing, and I think that's fun. Everybody can play around, and you can kind of do just sandwich night and everybody build their own sandwich. But Italian is my favorite. So I added some cheese, and I'm adding my dry salami onto that, which is like one of my favorite things. Like, I could snack on this all day. Yeah, eat it anyway. But I added more cheese because I have a lot of cheese that I need to use up, and I figured, why not just give me a bunch of meat and cheese on my little sandwich here. And now I'm just going to add on all those vegetables, and here's just a clip of me assembling that if you want to see it. And you can never go wrong with a sandwich in this summer heat. So I really enjoyed this, and especially because the air fryer doesn't heat up the house. So this is really good, and I enjoy that dressing, so I hope you like it. This last meal is $1 million spaghetti. I'm starting off by taking a pound of ground turkey that I defrosted and did a horrible job of defrosting. And the middle's a little frozen, so you'll see me breaking it up here. But I'm just going to go ahead and cook that in my large skillet over medium to medium high heat. And you can definitely just use ground beef for this. I know most people do use ground beef. I sub it most of the time for ground turkey. And I don't notice a difference. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and brown that all up until it's all cooked. And then I'm also going to add in some frozen onions that I keep in my freezer. You can add fresh onions or omit them if you don't like them. I'm just eyeing this just enough that you would typically put with your meat. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some salt and some pepper, as well as some Italian seasoning and some oregano. And I'm just eyeing that and giving it enough to just season the meat. I forgot to hit record, and I also added in a couple cloves of garlic that I minced up and put in that meat. And this is the sauce I'm using. It's just Kroger Brand's chunky mushroom and onion, and it's my favorite. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in the jar. I'm also going to go ahead and reserve half a cup of that sauce for later. So now just go ahead and mix the sauce around with your meat so it gets all coated, and then just go ahead and set that aside. Or if you have multiple burners, and I do, but I don't like my other burners as much, they're very small, so I just set the meat aside. And then now I'm boiling a pot of water and that I salted, and I'm gonna go ahead and add in spaghetti. And this is just about 3/4 of a box. I think that one box is just too much, so I'm only using about 3/4 of a box of a 16-ounce box. And I break them in half just to make it a little easier. And now I'm also going to add in a baking dish, 3 tablespoons of butter, and I chopped up a 1/4 cup of parsley, or about a 1/4 cup of parsley, and I'm going to go ahead and place that on top. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my hot cooked noodles to that butter once they were done, and just give it all a good stir. This will get the butter melting, and you could also just melt your butter in the microwave. It actually probably would make it easier. I just didn't want another dish. So yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm also just going to let some of that butter sit there, and it will melt and while the pasta's cooling a little bit, because we're going to mix in 2 eggs. So here you'll see me scrambling just 2 eggs, or whisking together 2 eggs, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that into the spaghetti mixture. At this point, it's had a couple minutes to cool down, so that you don't just like cook your eggs when they go into the pasta. And I'm also stirring for the remainder of that butter that was melting, just to coat it all nice. Just pour that egg mixture on top, and then you're going to go ahead and toss all the pasta with your egg mixture. So next you're going to go ahead and top that pasta with your meat mixture. And I try to place some nice big dollops across, so that when spreading it out, you don't just move your spaghetti all over the place. And now we're just going to go ahead and add some ricotta on top of the meat mixture. I don't have exact measurements. I would just eye it. I like ricotta, so I don't mind a lot, but you could probably get away with a small container. I have a large one here because I use ricotta in a few dishes because I really like it. So I'm just dolloping that all across. I am going to spread it as well across the top, but this will make it easier to do that. So just go ahead and place your little dollops all over the top of that, and then just go ahead and spread it all across. And I'm just using the back of my spoon to do that gently again, so that we don't disturb all the things underneath, all the other layers. And the little dollops make it easier to do that. And you can also add more ricotta at this point if you have some spots you missed. I should have added a little bit more, so you'll see me add it in as I go here. Because like I said, we really like ricotta. If you don't like it, I mean, you could not use it. I don't think it'd be the same without it. You could also sub it for cottage cheese. That's also another thing I like to do when I don't have ricotta on hand, because we really like this meal. So if I have cottage cheese on hand, I will make it still with that. Next, I'm taking that half a cup of pasta sauce that I reserved, And I'm just going to kind of disperse that across the top of the ricotta, again into some separate little dollops so that it can make it easier for me to spread without disturbing all the ricotta and other things underneath it. Now I'm just going to top that with some cheese. So just starting off with some Parmesan cheese, I'm just going to go ahead and place that on top of the sauce. And I don't have any exact measurements. I am just pouring cheese to my heart's desire. And we like cheese, so I'm putting a good amount of that Parmesan as well as a good amount of mozzarella cheese. I believe that's just about 8 ounces that I grated up there, and I do prefer to grate my own cheese than using bag cheese if I can, because I do feel like it melts better. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some dried parsley on top of that cheese, and I'm going to go ahead and bake that. I'm covering it with foils, and I'm also spraying my foil so the cheese doesn't stick to the foil when I'm baking that. And I'm going to leave it baking for about 20 minutes covered, and then about another 15 to 20 minutes uncovered so the cheese can brown. You definitely don't need foil, but if your cheese is browning, you will want to cover it up so it doesn't just burn all your cheese. But this meal is delicious. We absolutely love it. It's one of our favorites. You will not regret that one. And I had some hamburger buns to use up, so I just put some butter and garlic salt on them and broiled those just for a quick little garlic bread as a side. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you don't miss out on any future What's for Dinner videos. I hope you all have an amazing week.